Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George, or all George. So, tonight, let's talk about what's going on in Bitcoin and crypto. Some wild swings up and down, right? At first, it was going up, and people were calling it as a hedge, and then it started going down. So, is Bitcoin really a hedge against inflation? And is it something that we should be holding? Well, let's discuss that tonight. Smash on the like, subscribe to the channel. A lot of streams every day. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Though this morning I missed out because I had something to do. But I'm here now with you guys. Make sure you hit that smash that like button. And also check out my social media. And check out all the latest news, article, and guides at CryptosRUs.com. Welcome. What is going on with Bitcoin and crypto? Well, let's discuss. All right. Well, looking at Bitcoin, here's the bottom line. Let me sum it all up for you guys. Bitcoin is at 43.1, and if you go back 24 hours, it was basically the same exact point. Okay. So to put things in perspective and to sum things up, the Bitcoin crash. The answer is no. Because just 24 hours ago, we were at the very same spot. So just keep that in mind. Now, we did have some up and downs though today, right? We definitely had some up and downs. So if you zoom in a little bit this morning, you know, Bitcoin was coming up. People were feeling good about the CPI number. And then boom, they weren't feeling good. We had a drastic fall. Then we started coming back up, and this is when everyone started cheering again. I noticed on Twitter and YouTube, and everyone's like, yeah, look, Bitcoin's coming up. It's a hedge against inflation. And then boom, we headed right back down after everyone declared that Bitcoin was on its way up, right? So it seems like we had a little fake out here. A couple times, one time, two times, three times, but we are basically back to where we were just a day ago. So it's not like things started crashing down, right? And then I do have something to say about that. But because of all the up and downness, you know, the greedy leverage traders getting wrecked both sides, but unfortunately more on the long side still. There's just too many people that are too stupid. And they're putting in these huge 50 or 100x leverage. There's no way that there should be this kind of liquidations just from a 1,000 point swing. It's impossible unless you're playing with 50 or 100x leverage. And unfortunately, there are greedy people that keep doing it because they think they can outsmart the market. That's why you have so many liquidations all the time. It makes no sense. But this morning, we saw longs liquidated about 80 million plus 100 million. Then you have shorts liquidated around 60, 70 million. Then unfortunately you got more longs because, again, just greedy people, and it doesn't help, right? I really wish the exchanges would get rid of all the leverage. It would definitely help the space a lot more. It would not help their bottom line, but it would help the ecosystem, that's for sure. There's just too many people that can't control themselves, and they just like to get wrecked. So, unfortunately, that's what happened while things were going up and down this morning, right? However, what caused it? In case you missed out everything, let me kind of break it all down for you guys, because this is important. This is really important, okay? So, inflation surges to 7.5%. This is something I've been talking about for quite some time, right? We had CPI data come out. It's supposed to be 7.2 to 7.3%. Unfortunately, it came out a little bit higher, 0.3% higher. And why people are freaking out over this is because a lot of economists thought that inflation would taper out. Maybe we don't go up as much as people are anticipating, right? So in December, I believe the CPI went up by 0.6%. In January, it went up by 0.6%. So it shows that there is no tapering at all. It's going up in a solid path right now. And as you can see in the headline, the highest it's ever been since 1982, which was 40 years ago. 40 years ago. Okay. Now, this by itself isn't bad. Okay. In terms of, well, the market probably priced this in. However, when you combine this with the weekly jobless claims that came out not too long ago, about a week ago, which showed that jobless claims, right, was actually coming down. Employment was actually going up. So labor force is strong, plus high inflation. The two together is not a good recipe, because now everyone knows that Fed Chairman Powell has to be very hawkish with his stance now in terms of raising the rates. Okay? Everyone knows that now. Even President Biden, right afterwards, came out with a conference and said, you know what? Even though today's report is elevated, we do anticipate that things will substantially ease by the end of 2022, which I think everyone knows is a lie. It's not going to come down that fast. It's not going to get back to normal to 2% within, 8 months or 10 months time, right? But even President Biden was coming out there trying to reinforce the message that don't panic, things will get better, right? Things will get better. But true economists are really panicking. They are calling this blowout inflation. Blowout inflation, even though it's 0.2% higher, but they're saying it's blowout. This one guy that was interviewed here, he's saying that he's surprised that the Fed didn't even raise rates right now. Like right now, they should have just done it. Like he's saying that this is a blowout number of epic proportions. Okay, and this is the Chief Investment Officer of Garda Capital Partners in Minneapolis. There's no weakness in this report at all. No one had this kind of number in their projection. There's no magic number underneath that suggests it's some time a quirk. This is a number, frankly, that I think means the Fed should be hiking today. He thinks it's so bad that Powell should have held a conference today and said, I'm raising interest rates right now. That's how bad he thinks it is. But is it really that bad? Is it really that bad, though? That's the thing. Well, there are estimates that for average American is spending now $250 more per month due to inflation. And this includes gas fees, utility fees, food, and everything else. $250 more per month. And it definitely adds up. So inflation is definitely a real thing, right? And because of all this panic now, and everyone is saying it's so bad, right? Look at this headline: the Fed may resort to a tool it hasn't used since 2000. Sounds like there's some kind of nuclear option, right? Like the Fed has some kind of nuclear option to kind of fix all this. And what is this nuclear option? Well, to raise rates very, very, very fast. In fact, there is actually like a projection. This is from the CME group. I didn't know this, but there are like basically bets placed to give percentage likelihood of how much the rate will increase, how much basis points will come, and how many of them. So it's anticipated in March of 2022, which is coming up next month. 25 to 50 basis points was very high, right? Now it's dropped to 11. So now 50 to 75 basis points is at an all-time high at 89%. Basically at this point, every single trader, economist, analyst thinks that in March we're going to get a 50% rate hike. And many believe that right afterwards, in April or May, we're going to get another 50 to 75% basis points because of how horrible things are, okay? So if you're looking at all this, it's absolutely disastrous, okay? Inflation is rampant, it's going up, it's not tapering, and everyone thinks it's the end of the dollar, okay? So I'm just going to start with that. But is it? Is it really that bad? Well, obviously we are paying more for our things. Yes, for sure. But you got to look deeper. You got to look between, you actually have to see what people are doing, right? So, like I said, when I began the show, I'm like, if you look at Bitcoin, yes, it fell down from its 45.6 from this morning to 43 now. It does seem like, yes, there was a major crash, right? But you zoom out and you realize, well, this is the same place we were at yesterday. So did we really crash? No, we just lost the gains that we've gained in the day, but we're back to where we were before. And if you look at the stock market, right, with all the doom and gloom and everything that happened, how are traders reacting? Yes, we had a small sell-off today, but tomorrow you could see the indexes are pretty much flat. So what does this mean? Well, it means that many have already predicted this. That yes, the inflation numbers were going to come in higher. I don't think the whole world is as flabbergasted, that's what I mean, by the inflation numbers like some of these reports are indicating. I think there's many that already anticipated that this will happen. And the number of hikes will be higher. And the basis points for the very first few will probably be a little bit higher. But that does not mean it's the end of the world. Okay? It does not mean that the world just stops revolving and that everything's going to sell off to zero. No, that's not what it means. Right? So I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, looking at tomorrow's futures, of course, this is just early indication. It could definitely change. It could sell off more tomorrow, right? But right now, as it stands, Wall Street doesn't seem to be panicking too much after today's sell-off. And if you look at crypto, it's, like I said, there's no panic there either, right? And if you look at Bitcoin dominance, because this, when I came back home this afternoon, I created my video, I'm like, yeah, BTC dominance went up, but we have seen previous drops where Bitcoin dominance really shot up because there was a lot of fear in altcoins, right? So even though BTC dominance went up a little bit, it's at 41.7%, which is actually still kind of low. It didn't even go above 42%. So again, it doesn't mean that there's massive panic going on, right? So bottom line is, I think this is still a wait and see moment. I still believe that Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation long term. Short term, I did warn that there may be volatility, but I don't believe this is the time to panic because I do believe that things can still continue on and get better because this is already being priced in, right? So that's what I'm looking at right now. Short term, I mentioned, yeah, there will be up and downs, right? But things aren't not looking as dire as it seems, at least right now. It's early. Like I said, tomorrow, maybe we sell off more. This weekend, maybe we sell off more. But why I believe Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation long term are the things I've been talking about. The growing fundamentals, the metrics that keep getting better and better. And recently we have seen a lot of movement towards Bitcoin, right? Not that Putin and Russia is the savior of Bitcoin, but I did want to remind you guys that recently Russia was setting up the scenario that they were going to crack down on Bitcoin and crypto, yet ended up embracing it completely. Even Putin wants to invite the miners back in, right? It shows there's definitely interest there. And if Russia and Putin, especially Putin, is interested, that means they've been accumulating. I just saw this headline. This was from like a week ago. That Russia, according to them, they hold about 214 billion in crypto overall in the country. Okay? And if they're projecting they hold $214 billion worth of crypto, that means that's probably like 1/10 of what they actually hold. They probably hold a lot more than that, right? But obviously it can't be a tenth because that would make it more than $2 trillion. And that's more than the whole entire market cap of crypto. I know that. But I'm just saying, if they're projecting that they have this much, it's probably undervalued, right? So Russia as a country, obviously starting to show interest or have had interest all along, is coming in. So that is definitely positive for the space. Now, they're not the only country, of course, and there's many other countries. But this also shows that mega whales of Bitcoin have been accumulating for quite some time, and they keep accumulating. And the number that they're accumulating is in the billions, okay? They have added 220,000 Bitcoins since December. All this being taken away from supply, right? So these are things I look at. Exchanges, right? Exchange reserves continue to drop. The purple line, just take a look at it. It has not come up, it keeps going down, right? So long term, I still believe Bitcoin is very healthy. All the things that measures the network activity and holders and accumulation continue to go in the right direction. So is it a good against inflation? Is it a hedge against inflation? Yes, because you got to look at the bigger picture. You can't look at day to day, but over the last 5 years, what has outperformed Bitcoin in terms of investment? Nothing. 10 years? Nothing, right? So long term, still good, very good, very good hold. In fact, I believe it's the best hold against inflation. But short term, I've mentioned this, a lot of back and forth, right? Because there is some correlation with NASDAQ and equity market, because I think a lot of the Wall Street traders, possibly some hedge funds, got their crypto and got their Bitcoin, and now they're kind of panicking, being reactive to the rate hikes. But the thing is, it does look like the markets is already pricing this in. So even though today's number seems absolutely horrible and everyone's saying it's the worst thing ever, right? But I think a lot of people already anticipated this. I even said this. I think we all know that inflation is going to get worse. It's not going to get any better. When you print like $8 trillion within 2 years, what do you think? You think that inflation just go all of a sudden stop? No. And some of the things like supply chain issues haven't been getting better. If supply chain is getting better, it will definitely bring down a lot of the prices and help curb inflation. But we know that's not getting better either, right? So I think a lot of us knew that inflation was going to go higher. And probably when we do this again, we do this dance again next month to measure what inflation is in February, which is this month, it'll probably go up another 0.6%. I mean, it's probably going to keep going. It's not going to get any better. It's one of those things. It's going to get worse before it gets better. That's the situation we're in, right? So, but that does not mean that Bitcoin is not a good hedge of inflation. It's just that right now, temporarily, there's just a lot of scared traders right now. So that's my take. Now, you might be wondering, well, what about gold, George? Is a lot of people flocking into gold right now? Well, I got to give gold credit because gold actually went up 1% today. So it does show that some people are still buying gold at this point as a hedge against inflation. Although I think, short term, maybe. But if you go back extended periods of time for gold, especially you go back 5 years, 10 years, gold just has not been moving. So if someone like me, I just don't believe in hedge as gold as a hedge against inflation. But you know what? I may be younger than some of the gold bugs out there that's been holding it for 40 or 50 years, so they may have a different opinion. But I look at the last 12 years, and gold has not outperformed Bitcoin. It did not even outperform the USD. It's been flat. In fact, it's down versus 12 years ago when it hit $2,200. So what else is there? Bitcoin. Now, two other things that's pretty big that has nothing to do with Bitcoin. Number one is Binance is throwing their weight around. Now they're part owners of Forbes magazine. They threw $200 million in Forbes. I don't know why CZ wants to own Forbes. Maybe they want to control the narrative now because Forbes is trying to go public. Maybe Binance wants to make sure that they only say good things about Binance. I don't know. That's a huge investment, but a weird one too. But they did it. They have money and they did it. So they threw $200 million. Now they are part owner of Forbes magazine. And Algorand just named a former JP Morgan executive as their CEO. That's interesting. Usually you don't see that. You don't see traditional finance, CEOs come into decentralized finance world, but that's exactly what happened. So we'll see. Is this going to help Algorand and their foundation and their future? Maybe. I don't know. But I think this is also weird. You just don't hear about this a lot, right? So there you go. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. Overall, you know what? Today's just a really iffy day. kind of weird, some up and down movements. Obviously, Bitcoin held a little bit better. Actually, I would say a lot better than a lot of the other altcoins. Like, for example, Ethereum sold off today. Really no reason for such a big sell-off for Ethereum. Luna sold off today. Polkadot sold off today. Sheep, Polygon. So it shows that retail investors, a lot of people that have been feeling antsy recently, they've been selling off. But Bitcoin is still holding strong, basically at the same point it was yesterday. All right, that's it. Let's do Q&A. Danny says, yo, George, I saw you on a car review. Yes. In fact, right before this, I posted a review on the 2022 Lexus GX 460, which didn't change all that much, but still a solid SUV. I just posted that on my other channel. And the reason why I missed out this morning was because I was actually attending an auto show. So I actually filmed a lot of cars. It's media day, so it's nice to get out and actually do something rather than my 3 streams a day, I guess. All right, scrolling up, making sure I don't miss anything. People are like confused. Yay, go Russia. Wait, what? I know. I know your confusion. But I mean, the fact that Russia, a global powerhouse, is stacking sats right now, that can't be underestimated. And I know China still probably has a lot, holding on a lot. U.S. government now has $4 billion worth of Bitcoin. I mean, a lot of governments have a lot, right? It's only going to increase. Eventually, there's going to be a Cold War on Bitcoin accumulation, like gold accumulation. It's going to happen. Maybe it already started. Do you think we'll touch a 200 weekly MA on BTC ever? Never say never, so maybe. Overcome, I appreciate that. A lot of people, yeah, I'm not gonna get into Biden right now. Hey Jason, Crypto Crow, we go deflation and then recession. That's a little too gloomy for me. I do think that deflation can happen because after all this spending, basically artificial spending that's been prompted, over the last 2 years, right? Because of all the stimulus that's been given out, right? That's probably going to slow down and there will be less spending, right? So I think there's going to be some of that. But right now, the name of the game is inflation. And Fed Chair Powell is going to try very, very, very hard to stop it. Chloe says, I'm tired of waiting for the cycle top altcoin season one moon. Hey, if you're tired, then that means you don't have the patience for this, buddy. You got to have patience. We had plenty of tops. We had plenty of bottoms, right? But those that have the most patience wins. Those that held through all the bad times that we had, right? And continue to buy and continue to DCA and continue to hold. They're the ones that made it, that made life-changing wealth. And if you want that, you got to keep holding. If you don't want to look at the prices every day, that's fine. Just get off your phone. Don't look at prices for 6 months and come back, right? The crypto cycle has changed. I do believe that. Apple 4935. I'm not going to repeat what you said, but that's quite hilarious. I own silver, only physical though. Well, if there's ever a global EMP that knocks down all electrical infrastructure, I guess your silver will be worth more than Bitcoin at that point. But then you can argue that bullets will be worth more than silver. Is Vauld legit? Yes, it is. It is. That's why they are a partner of mine. I actually put funds in there, and so far, so good. I'm 10x on Gala. Gala has been doing really good. I mean, it's a solid project. It's a solid project. They'll probably continue to do well. But recently, they have been coming back. Let's see. All right, I'm starting to still, hold on. I'm just trying to catch up the comments here. Matthew asks, should we buy now or wait to see what happens? Well, the next few weeks, probably going to get choppy. But tomorrow, I think, will be a very telling story. If tomorrow the indexes flip to green, kind of shows you that the traders already priced this scenario in. Okay, so I think tomorrow will be a good telling story of the future and upcoming weeks. Because again, right now, after today, everything turns super bearish again. At least the narrative. At least if you read into media, every single article about the CPI number is horrible. It's like the worst inflation we've ever seen, and it's going to get worse, and Powell should have just raised rates today, and this and that, and all this stuff, right? Seems like it's the worst case scenario ever, like we're going to World War III or something. But you look at futures, not doing too bad. Not doing too bad. And if you look at Asia, Asia's actually up right now. So, you know what? I think tomorrow could be a good telling story. If they flip green, Bitcoin continues back up, right? Short term could be good. Doesn't have to be bad. But long term, keep in mind. Long term, when I say long term, it has to be Bitcoin. Nothing's going to be better than Bitcoin as a long term hold versus inflation. There's just nothing. No one could convince me otherwise that there is something better. Someone said real estate before. You know what? Real estate goes up and down, does not appreciate as much as Bitcoin. So. Let's go. The government is not going to return that $4 billion to Bitfinex, okay? They're not going to be doing that. Bitfinex is not U.S. They've been very shady. The U.S. government does not like Bitfinex. They're not going to return that $4 billion. MAI. So BTC is global currency. Why do US hit big on BTC? I don't know what you're trying to say. It's not the global currency yet. If it was, it'll be like $10 million each for Bitcoin, right? It's not there yet, but of course, you don't want to wait until it gets to that point. Then no one can afford it. Right now, you want to be in early, but we're definitely seeing the traction already. If we were not, Bitcoin would not be at $43,000. It would still be at $3,000 or $1,000 or $100. Obviously, it's a slow progress. For digital currency to be created by an anonymous person or group and to be widely adopted now after 12 years is simply amazing. Something like this should not happen, but it did because people are fed up with fiat currency, with governments that's printing the fiat currency, and there's a lot of distrust. People want something better, something that they can actually control and help grow, right? Not what the central banks are doing. So you got to give it time. You got to give it time. I guess that's my point to that. All right, last few questions. What else is there? 2,500, invest in Solana or Polygon. Split it with both. Hi, G. Wall Street don't know how to trade on inflation. It's the U.S. national debt that is concerned. BTC alternative. Here's the thing. The U.S. national debt, I've always wondered this, and you could ask a whole bunch of people, and they'll say, yeah, the national debt is bad. It's $30 trillion. You can't let it go higher, right? But we said that before at 20 trillion, and we said that at 10 trillion, right? At what point can the national debt get up to before there's a collapse? And the answer is no one knows. Everyone keeps theorizing that the national debt can't keep going up forever, right? And it makes sense. you know, if you have that much debt, you have to repay it back sometime, right? But do you? But do you? I just don't know. You hear from the smartest people on earth, like Ray Dalio, that keeps talking about like the national debt and the U.S. currency is going to collapse. The Fed is going to collapse. Peter Schiff said the same thing. But is it really? Or it's just going to keep going up? I see. That's why I don't know. I can't answer those things. So Geostone, I agree with you. The U.S. national debt going up to 30 trillion is horrible. But what if it goes to 40 trillion? Or what if it goes to 50 or 60? How does that change things? Well, the only thing for sure is it's going to make inflation much worse. It's going to make inflation much worse. So you better park your money into an asset that appreciates more than inflation. Because if you don't and you're holding cash, you're going to get crushed. That's what it means for sure. Hold a line like the Canadians. Don't sell. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Have Canadians ever held a line? I don't know. Tuesday Dragon, appreciate that. Geostone, I appreciate that. Crypto and Crypto.com. Coinbase and Crypto.com. Visa debit cards, thoughts? No. You go with this. This bad boy right here. BlockFi's Bitcoin rewards, right? Why would you use a debit card? Why would you use your crypto to pay for things? That doesn't make any sense. Just get an actual credit card, right, and get rewarded in Bitcoin. That makes the most sense. So get it from BlockFi. Use my link in the description. All right, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, you guys mean the truckers. I'm sorry. I was stupid. I was slow. I was thinking about like World War II, like the French or something. So I don't know. I guess it's bad to equate Canadians with the French. All right. Anyways, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. Yesterday, I forgot that I was going to show you guys an educational video about XRP because there's so many people that's been asking about XRP, and I feel bad not kind of elaborating more on XRP. Marcus, thank you. So here's a really good educational video in case you guys want to learn, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Opening bell, 8:15 Central Standard Time. All right. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
What do you think about Ripple?
Well, I mean, I think it's too centralized, but I definitely want to meet Chris Larson.